Well, that was tough. Had a lot of fun going to the game again. Wore my Luka jersey. Voice is kind of raspy right now. But Kawhi was Michael Jordan. Kawhi would not let that team lose, and I thought Tyronn Lue had a good counter to what Luka did last game. And he said, we're not going to let him beat us. We're going to double him as much as possible up top and make everybody else win. If Dorian Finney-Smith, if Porzingis, if Kleba, if Richardson, if Brunson, if Boban, if whoever makes their shots, we lose, we go home, season's over, and maybe the Clippers are no more. As in, Kawhi staying there and Paul George being there. I don't know, but got to hand it to Tyronn Lue and to Kawhi Leonard. They did it. They beat us. Luka didn't have his best game, but he didn't play horrible. He made the passes out of the double team quite a bit. And guys couldn't make shots. Brunson, I don't want to rag on the dude. Good dude, played hard, but when he missed the 2 free throws at the end of the third quarter and then had a horrible 2-minute stretch to start the fourth quarter, that was tough. So, you could make those free throws, I believe, go up by 6 going into the fourth. He misses them both, and then he just has a tough start. And, I don't know. It's tough to say, nerves got to him, but it looked like maybe the moment got to him. That it's a big moment for a guy in his third year. And I know he's an older third-year guy going 4 years to college, but that was tough. Fear the Beard says live. I think he says love by the 3, die by the 3, but live by the 3, die by the 3. And they doubled Luka and they dared us. And, a lot of times when they would double Luka too, it put Dorian Finney-Smith in a position. He did have a nice stretch. I think he hit 2 3-pointers kind of back to back that were great. And I think he hit one more in the game, just going off the top of my head here. But they put pressure on Dorian Finney-Smith to make either the 3-point shot or make plays off the dribble, and that's not his game at all. Josh Richardson, I don't really remember him doing anything in the second half. Porzingis, 7 points, 4 rebounds. I don't know how many minutes. I don't have the box score pulled up for me right now, but anyways, Kawhi was awesome. We weren't. Couldn't score. We only had 11 points in the fourth quarter when they started letting Luka make layups, because they were just like, if he makes layups and they don't make threes, as long as we make our free throws, we win. It's an easy win. So, yes, Luka had a couple layups late to kind of give us what, I don't know, maybe 20 points, maybe in the end of the fourth quarter, but we just couldn't score in the fourth quarter. Credit to the Clippers. They made Maxi Kleba hit a shot in the corner wide open. He couldn't. Tim Hardaway Jr. was really hot at one stretch, but down the stretch, he got cold the last 4 minutes. I'd have to go look at the box and see, from that 5-minute mark, we were down by 5, I believe, 90-85 with 5 minutes to go. I can't tell you anybody who made another shot the rest of the game when, Kawhi was going Michael Jordan on us. John K. Porzingis is the real pandemic P. I have a tough time believing we're going to go to LA and win right now, but we did it the other night. And I would say this: if this is it for Porzingis, as in he plays one more game and scores 7 to 12 points, I just think you have to get whatever you can get for him. You have to trade him and just go, this isn't the right guy for us. This isn't – he's not going to work out here. But Nick K, I don't see the Clippers losing Game 7, neither do I. They're too experienced and talented. PG and Kawhi will close them out. I'll say I think Kawhi's going to close us out. PG might end up having a great game too. Mike, why was Luka so passive? When you're getting double teamed and one of the double team guys is Kawhi Leonard, I was at the game. I know maybe you saw it on TV differently, but he's getting hard doubled and he's trying to make passes to the guys that are open. And that's one way to stop a guy, but they're playing 3-on-4 defense, and they decided playing 3-on-4 defense was better than playing 1-on-1 with Luka. And I thought Kawhi did a better job. Obviously, they told him to do it. Fight over it more, stay with Luka more, don't switch as much. When you do switch, don't stay with that guy. Leave him open, kind of like follow him halfway, but kind of when, I'm just going back to high school basketball, be on the wall, which is right down the middle of the court. Stay on the wall. So when he goes weak side, don't go weak side with him. Just stay on the wall. And when Luka wants to drive, when he wants to do something, reach, stick around him, double team him hard. And so I don't want to blame Luka at all for this game. I thought that the Clippers made a decision. We're not going to let him beat us one-on-one. We're going to double team him, and if the other guys make their shots, make the plays, we lose and we go home. Fear the beard, Luka needs to score 45 plus. Yeah, I think that's what the Clippers know too. The Clippers know this now, right? And they're like, if he doesn't go for 40, they probably can't win. If the Mavs win on Sunday, it's because Luka scored 40 from Andrew. Yeah. But I don't think they're going to double him early in the game. They didn't double him this game. Now, when it became 67-60 Mavericks is when I think they started deploying the double on high pick and rolls. And, we couldn't beat it. Brunson gave us very little. I know the Mavericks love him to death, and I know he's a great person and he's a hard worker. But isn't Brunson just a backup point guard? I mean, I know that they think he's more than that. Maybe he will be, and I'm not busting him. He's a backup point guard. He's a guy that comes in for 12 to 20 minutes max to back up guys. And that's the thing that I said, this is a no-lose playoff series, and I'm disappointed. I want us to win, but if we lose Game 7, I hope that the Mavericks look at everything around Luka and go, we have a lot of 1986 Chicago Bulls going on here. We have a lot of kind of 03 through 05 Cleveland Cavaliers going on here, and we need to try our best to start getting better players around Luka. Brett, regardless, you got to make a move on KP. I agree. Sonny comes in with KP is trash. It's tough right now, man. He's there's just not much he can do. He's so fragile when he's around the basket and he's trying to get rebounds. They can just push him wherever they want to go, and so it's tough. He doesn't really work hard for position. That's one thing, too, is he doesn't – and maybe he just can't. Maybe he's just not strong enough, fast enough, quick enough, doesn't trust his body enough. I don't know, but he doesn't really try to go get position. He just kind of hopes that he stands around, and as long as you put a body on him, you can take him wherever you want to go, whether you're Reggie Jackson or whether you're Marcus Morris. You can take him to wherever you want to go. Boban seems to loosen the LA perimeter defense when he's in. Yeah. Boban, I'll say Boban did his job, but there were a lot of – the reason he had – I don't know, did he have 9 rebounds? Hell, one of them he taps 3 times and never makes the basket. So that's 3 rebounds that he still doesn't even complete the play. And I'm not saying it was Boban's fault. The fourth quarter, he didn't play. Hardaway had moments. And overall, Hardaway had a good game, but, what team, what player – I mean, Hardaway, when we're talking about players in the NBA, he doesn't get top 50, not close to a top 50 player. I think when you start talking about players 70 through 100, I think there can be a discussion on Tim Hardaway Jr. So that means Luka's second best player is the 75th at best player, and I hate to do this to Porzingis, and I think people are with me right now, but – Porzingis isn't a top 100 player in this league right now. When you're watching these playoffs, just on the other team, don't they have 4 or 5 guys better right now on our team? Overall, helping us in this series, Luka, Tim Hardaway Jr., Dorian Finney-Smith, he might come in 4th at that point. So sign Marcus Smart and Kemba Walker. Well, they're not free agents. We'd have to trade for him, Trevor. Marcus Smart has 1 more year left. Kemba Walker has a contract similar to Porzingis's. So that would be there. And I'll tell you, I've come up with a trade. It works in the trade machine. It would be Porzingis, Dwight Powell, and Jalen Brunson for Kemba Walker, Marcus Smart, and Robert Williams. I have no clue if Boston would be interested. I have no clue if the Mavericks would be interested. But now Kemba Walker starts with, he could be a sixth man if you really wanted him to come off the bench, but you could have Kemba and Luka. Now you have two major ball handlers. I know the Mavericks liked Kemba before he went to Boston. He has been bad in Boston overall, but maybe a change of scenery. Marcus Smart would be a great guy to have. And, maybe you go Marcus Smart, Luka to start, and then Kemba comes in very Jason Terry-like. He's going to play 34 minutes. It's just that the first 6 minutes of the game he's not going to play. So that's something to look at. THJ re-signs with us, you think? That's from Brett. I do. I think the Mavericks love him. Unfortunately, he has had a good series overall. And I think 4 for 80, which takes us down to about $10 million in cap space, unless Josh Richardson opts out. But I don't think he's going to opt out of $11 million because the way he's playing, the way we're using him, 5 to 15 minutes a night in this series, that has to be hurting his market. The way THJ is helping his market with his shooting. In fact, the New York Knicks have tons of money. The New York Knicks might look at bringing Tim Hardaway Jr. back now that they have better pieces. I don't know if that will be the case, but there's plenty of teams with money that we're going to have to try to compete with Tim Hardaway Jr. And then Josh Richardson, I don't think opts out of 1 year, $11 million. Kleba was playing scared tonight as well. Mario, he did have one nice rebound, and he did have a few nice defensive possessions. But besides that, maybe he's really hurt. Maybe this is what he is in playoffs, right? You find out in playoffs, right? Patrick Beverley. Let's just go to the other side. Right now, and I don't know if Patrick Beverley will play in the next round if they play Utah, but, as much as I love Patrick Beverley, this and that. Right now, the Clippers are saying, no. You're not good enough to be a real NBA player, because real NBA players, and you know what I mean? Like, it doesn't matter who you're playing against. There might be matchups where you're like, we don't love it. So instead of playing 30 minutes, you're only going to play 22 minutes in this series. But when you just get totally benched and you're done, that means like you're not really good enough. Nothing against Dwight Powell. He had a great game 5. I don't think he made a basket tonight. He barely played. Like Rick Carlisle, like they can say all they want, right? I mean, you can watch the broadcast and they can talk all these great things about Powell, and great person, great energy, great guy to have on your team. But at the end of the day, Rick Carlisle and his staff do not believe Dwight Powell is a rotational player on a playoff team. So you can say all these things, but then the actions are who plays, who doesn't play. And right now, when you look at it, he's saying, even though I'm limited in my players and especially limited in this and that, I think Willie Cauley-Stein gives us a better chance than Dwight Powell does. Is there any possibility we lose Sunday? No. And Rick gets fired? Brett, no. I know this for a fact. The organization, I will say this. I would be shocked. I think there's a 99% chance Rick comes back. The only way he doesn't, and this isn't going to happen, is if like Luka said, I want out unless you get rid of Rick. And that's not going to be the case. So I don't think Rick is doing anything wrong in this series. I mean, hell, he's having to play Boban 15 minutes in a series. And, name our bench. He's having to play Willie Cauley-Stein. Let's just look at it. Would Boban play? Zubac barely plays. Do you know what Zubac would do on our team? Oh, my God. Zubac would be our best big guy. He's better than Porzingis. I hate saying it. He's better than Porzingis. He's better than Kleba. He's better than Willie Cauley-Stein. He's better than Dwight Powell. And that dude struggles to play on their team because Luka abuses him, because Luka's a basketball god. But, I mean, when you just look over there, Zubac barely plays. I'll tell you what, DeMarcus Cousins hasn't touched the court. And I know he's very limited as a player at this point. DeMarcus Cousins would play in this playoff series. I bet DeMarcus Cousins would play 12 minutes a night for us in this series. Not a lot. I'm not saying a lot, but he would come off the bench and give us 10 to 15 minutes. He hasn't seen the court yet in this series. Would DeMar DeRozan take this team to another level? Sis and bro fun times. I like that. I like that idea. We talked to Mark Cuban in the regular season, a month or so before the playoffs, and he kind of, I think, hinted towards everybody in the free agent pool, and he's one of them. Doesn't have. We asked him kind of about 3-point shooting and ball handling. He said you don't have to be a 3-point shooter and a ball handler. Like, we could see ourselves getting a ball handler who's maybe not a great 3-point shooter as maybe our main weapon. The issue is here's what I don't know. You sign Tim Hardaway Jr. You're down to very little money, and I don't know if San Antonio is going to do sign and trades with you. So, that's if you could trade Porzingis and maybe not get as much money coming back, it could open up money for DeRozan. But, if you had Tim Hardaway Jr. and let's say DeMar DeRozan could take Dorian Finney-Smith's spot. Well, now when they pass to DeMar DeRozan and he has nobody on him, when he drives to the basket with an open lane, or when he drives and people are trying to recover, he's going to make a layup or make a great pass. I mean, we've just seen it too many times against us. And he still has, I think, 3 years of good basketball left in him. He's 32 years old. Not ready to give up on the series, Kyle says, but a sleeper I'd like to get in the offseason would be Dinwiddie. That'd be a nice pickup. Like I said, once you sign Tim Hardaway Jr., you're pretty much done with free agency. I think people might not understand that. We have $30 million. I think Tim Hardaway Jr. is going to cost us about $20, and you're down to $10 million. I don't think, Mario comes in with Bradley Beal. It's fun going home and talking to people walking back to the car, and they're like, we need to trade Porzingis for Bradley Beal. And I hate even when we say it on our radio show, because it gives people the thought or hope that we can get Bradley Beal. It's impossible to get him. We need 6, and I'm not exaggerating. We need approximately 6 first-round draft picks. Now, maybe I could say only 4 if we traded, let's say, Josh Green and Tyrell Terry, which I don't think they would be super interested in, but maybe give us those 2 guys and give us 4 first-rounders. We don't have it. We literally couldn't do that because we don't have our pick this year. We don't have our pick in 2023. So we're not allowed to trade any picks right now. So we can't get them. It's impossible. Karl Anthony Towns, I'd love to get him for Porzingis. I'd love to make that switch, but they're not doing that. If we make it past Game 7, please, Mike, don't show up in Utah series. I know. Well, anybody who showed up, right? We lost all of them. So we should have forfeited the home games and just said, we'll stay in LA. Just play the whole thing and bubble it up in LA. Go after Dame. He seems to be a little unhappy right now, but I bet Portland tries a lot of things. That's the interesting thing. Portland's going to be trying to do a lot of things. I do think the Clippers, even if they beat us, are going to lose to Utah, and I think they're going to have to look to do a lot of things. I think Dallas needs to look to do a lot of things. New Orleans needs to look to do a lot of things. These are all in the West. I think LA will look at their team, the Lakers, and go, not a lot of things, but we need to make some tweaks here. And so that'll be interesting to see what they do. Can't we go over the cap for THJ? You lose. That's a good question, Kyle. But you can't. You lose his right. So when he becomes a free agent, you have a cap hold for him. And if you don't sign him, but you sign somebody to all that money, let's just say DeMar DeRozan. I don't think he'll cost $30 million. Let's just say he signs for $25 million. Well, now you either have $5 million left somewhat in free agent money, or you can sign a mid-level exception guy. You've given up. You can't go, well, we're going to get to the cap number with Tim Hardaway Jr. and then go over it because we're allowed to. It's weird. It doesn't really work that way. If you're at the cap, I know this gets a little bit, minutia, but let's just say Tim Hardaway Jr. is a free agent, but we're already over the cap. We can go way over the cap to sign our own guys. But you can't just say, we're going to sign our own guys, get to the cap number, and then sign more guys to go over, even though you'd say, well, let's just sign the free agents first and then our guys second. They don't let you do that because what you do is you do it in that order every time. Let's sign all the free agents that weren't on our team, get to the number, then sign all our free agents that were on our team and go way over the number. It doesn't work that way. Should have kept Trae Young. Ramon, let's go, Ramon. Hey, congratulations, Trae Young. I love watching him. But there's no comparison. We'd be in the lottery. I really believe that. I think Trae Young has a much better team around him. Clint Capella, DeAndre Hunter, trying to go down the list of what they have. Those 2 guys come to mind. My brain's a little bit fried right now, but, we don't have as good a team as against the Knicks because he's scared to death of that situation. But we would beat the Knicks in a 7-game series. We beat them in 5 or 6 games, I believe. So I think the outcome would be the same if we played the Knicks. And I believe if the Clippers played Atlanta, I think the Clippers would have already won the series. So that's my thoughts. I do think we're a little bit better than Atlanta, but I think Trae Young has much better pieces around him. Because Clint Capella, I would trade Porzingis for Clint Capella in a heartbeat. John Collins is the guy I'm forgetting. Hell, he's way better than Porzingis too. They have 2 big guys better than ours, and they drafted that dude out of was it USC, guys? And I forget his name. I'm sorry. Ends with like it's O something. He wasn't much of a factor this year, but they have another guy that they're trying to develop there. That was a lottery pick. Cam Reddish, I don't like at all, but I like THJ, but he's too streaky. Mario, I agree with you, but he's our second best player. So, yeah, and then Kyle comes in, and I'm going to say it wrong, but Okongwu. And I'm probably saying it wrong. I'm horrible with names. I got to do a better job, honestly, with stuff like that. Bro, I watched Game 6 after I said I wasn't sorry. That's from Victor Mendez. You can't stay away as much as I think I'm superstitious too, but what are we going to do? I mean, it's such entertainment. I love the NBA. Let me get to this real quick. Mark Davis changed the game. I thought the game was called fair in the Clippers in the second quarter. It was amazing how much he was helping out the Clippers in the second quarter. That being said, it was Mark Davis. He's number 8. I didn't know his name until on Twitter. People were like, that's Mark Davis. He hates us. He does. But I will say this. I thought Mark Davis – I thought Mauer, he's the guy that I know because he's been in the league for 20 years. And maybe Mark Davis has too because I've seen him a lot. I just couldn't remember his name. I thought the game was called fair in the second half. I get Luka got mad in some situations. And, yeah, you're going to miss calls. You're going to make calls that weren't there. But I thought the second half, the game was called fair. The first half, especially the second quarter, Mark Davis took the quarter over and said, let's go Clips, which was tough. Rangers won. I didn't even know that, Brett. So I guess they stopped that streak. Carlisle didn't make good late game adjustments. Frankie, I'm not going to disagree with you. Being at the game, sometimes you see a little bit more on television because you have a wider view. I love being at the game because I can see like when everything's going wrong and Mark Davis is screwing us over, him and Beverly are laughing and giggling it up at a timeout for 2 minutes. And I'm like, that doesn't look good that you're giving every call to the Clippers and now you're chumming it up with Patrick Beverly during the break to make sure you guys are on the same page of like, hey, keep doing that. Keep calling those fouls on them. But I don't know what Rick Carlisle was supposed to do. Luka was getting double teamed tremendously on the pick and roll. Kawhi wasn't switching as much. So then when he did get one-on-one with Kawhi, it does make the game more difficult. And guys were missing open shots. Kleba missed an open shot. Porzingis might have got fouled on the alley-oop there that we needed late, but all you got to do is touch Porzingis, and he gets off balance, and he can't catch the ball. And, like, touching him is like throwing a shoulder as hard as you can into Luka, right? It's gonna move Luka. But, I mean, all you got to do is just that. And Porzingis goes flying because he just hit, hollow bones. He has to be a hollow-boned guy, man, because there is no strength there at all. So many missed shots in the fourth. Sonny, we had 11 points when they started letting Luka have layups. That was it. We had 11 points with a minute and change to go in the quarter? You can't win. It's almost impossible, especially in today's game, to only score 11 to 15 points in the fourth and hold on. Yvonne, thanks for joining me, Yvonne. I know you've been joining these a lot. Late to join the talk. Luka looked off. He was dishing so much instead of taking some shots, but maybe I'm wrong. I know he'll be ready. Yvonne, I've gone over that. I'll just say it again for you. My opinion, being at the game, Luka has the ball up top, and the basket's way back here. And we bring whoever, Dorian Finney-Smith, Porzingis, whoever it is, and we bring the pick. And Kawhi would sometimes fight over it and stick one-on-one. If he didn't, he would just stick on the wall, the middle of the court. Our guy would clear, but he wouldn't go with him. And so then when Luka was thinking about making a move, Kawhi was right there to like, no, you're not going to. If you do this, I'm right here. And then sometimes they just double him so hard, he'd have to pass it. and he would pass it to the middle, or he would make a pass, and then we would fumble it away, or we would make a bad pass out of the first initial pass, kind of that hockey assist that Luka tries to give. Like, I got to give it to you here, and now you got to make the right read because I have two guys here. I'm almost at half court. That means you have 4-on-3, and we have the ball at the top of the key. We have a 4-on-3 offense, and you're at the top of the key with the basketball. A lot of times it was Dorian Finney-Smith in that situation, or Brunson at times, and they made bad decisions, or they couldn't make the basket, So I hear what everybody's saying about Luka, and I don't want to – he did not have his best game. But Tyrone Lue did a great job. Now, I will say this. If you want to blame Carlisle, I thought when Kawhi got cooking, he usually doesn't dribble the ball up, but as soon as he catches the ball, double him. And they did one time, and he threw it to, I believe, Reggie Jackson. And as soon as we tried to recover, I believe it was Dorian Finney-Smith runs back to Reggie Jackson. He gives it right back to Kawhi. Well, now it's tough for Dorian to get back because he just ran as hard as he could this way to try to then stop your momentum and get all the way back. And then Kawhi makes about a really nice 2-dribble move on Luka. I thought Luka wasn't bad defensively on Kawhi. Kawhi just turned into Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, Luka Doncic, LeBron James. Like, he just turned into an unstoppable player in those moments. Luka never has 2 back-to-back bad games. Look forward to Game 7. Chris, I hope you're right. I won't put this in the bad game category, but I can see where people are doing that. I actually like that Game 7 is in LA. Hey, I do too at this point. Brett says we got Kawhi. He was awesome. I was at the game. I hate this, right? That's Kawhi's best game in his playoff history. There's no way he's had a better game than that. I know the biggest shot, obviously, was hitting it against Philadelphia. Leading a Toronto to the championship was bigger because his team, I don't think, was as good when he was in San Antonio. And San Antonio obviously won the championship, so I'm not bagging there. It's just that, we had Jose Calderon on him in the first series in 2014, I believe, if I have my years right, when we lost in 7 games to them. And then as the playoffs progressed, he kept getting a little bit better offensively and was great defensively then. But let's see here. Michael Steele, he says, I'm to the point if KP can just give us even 11 points, we win. This guy definitely has to go in the offseason. It's tough to be a KP supporter at this time and say that he if he's healthy next year and chemistry and no. Great players are great no matter what. Now, you can have a series that's a little bit tough for you. But if you're a great player, a little bit tough is like, oh, man, I got 20-7. And then you get a favorable series and you go for 26-9. But when you're going for, I don't know what his average went down to, but it was 15-4, I believe, in this series going into this game. So, it probably goes down to 13, and he had 4 rebounds. So 13-4. You're 13-4. Hopefully somebody else sees something in him, and the Mavs see that we have to get rid of him because we can't build an offense with him in it because he won't be healthy enough to build anything. He's going to miss 30% of the games next year, play hurt in 20% of the games, and not look good, and then play in 50% of the games. I don't know if you can really build anything with a guy that's limited. He's bad defensively, very fragile. And a limited offensive player. Let's be honest. He's a limited offensive player. Kyle, 7'4", getting 4 rebounds. Yeah. Adam says Brogdon. Yeah, I don't know if I would trade just because he might fit better, and I would want to do a little bit bigger trade than this. But getting Miles Turner, who blocks 3 shots a game, who disappointing numbers for his career, I'll be honest. He's like a 12-6 guy with now, a lot of block shots, but Miles Turner might be a guy who fits better with Luka, and I would want a little bit more in the trade. I don't know. We have to find a team that likes soft players. We can't trade. Obviously, you wouldn't go back to New York, but we can't trade. Pat Riley would want nothing to do with Porzingis. There's probably 20 teams in the NBA that want nothing to do with that type of personality /softness /fragileness So I think there are teams. I think you could maybe look at Orlando. I think for some reason Golden State seems very interested in possibly taking Porzingis off our hands. And, Wiggins would be the main piece. I would want Wiseman with it. A lot of people from Golden State are like, laugh, laugh, laugh. But I get it. They have the 6th and 14th pick. I'm not crazy about taking more draft picks with Luka. I think we are in more of a win now window with Luka, so I'm not crazy about picks right there. Detroit, Grant Marketing is KP. So if we were to do a trade with Chicago, sign and trade, he's a restricted free agent. I would want more than Lauri Markkanen in the deal. I'd need to look at that. But, I threw this out. Oklahoma City's rebuilding. And I don't know what they would do. He's 25, 26. I don't know if they'd look at him and Shea and go, hey, that's a better deal. And we would get Al Horford, who's, at the end of his career, but can still help you. I think help you more maybe than Porzingis overall at this point for the next 2 years. And then go get Poku, the Serbian Scorpion, who they drafted 17th in front of us. I don't know if they'd want to do that. I bet the Mavericks wouldn't be crazy about that trade. But, Poku might end up being I'm a big believer in him being a really good player. The problem is I don't think next year he's going to be a really good player. I think you got to wait till year 3 for him to start really showing that shine of a 7'1" point guard, at least with those type of skills. But, I don't know if Oklahoma City is willing to do that. Ramon says, any goons that we can get to toughen up this team? We need that. Derek Harper said that. I was listening to him with Jay Will and Keyshawn Johnson. They interviewed him after the Mavs, I think, went up 2-0 in series. And he said, they asked him, like, what are the Mavs missing? And he said, they're missing a Rasheed Wallace, Dennis Rodman type player. And I don't know if, I don't know. I'm just trying to read into what Derek Harper said there. But I believe that when he said Rasheed Wallace and Dennis Rodman, one's a Hall of Famer and Rasheed Wallace was a borderline Hall of Famer. It can't just be like a goon who just gets you 6 rebounds and 5 points and toughens you up, because that's who James Johnson is, I think. I was disappointed we traded James Johnson. I didn't make a big stink about it on the radio because it was like, it's not that big of a deal, right? It's not. So we got J.J. Redick and Nico Melli, and I know James Johnson wasn't doing anything. I don't think Wes Iwundu should be on an NBA roster, just to be honest. I think he's a European player and not an NBA player. But I look at James Johnson, I'm like, he just can't give you enough talent on the court to then play that role that I think maybe we're looking for, and not a great rebounder, right? So he doesn't really give you that, not a rim protector. So Miles Turner, I wouldn't mind if Orlando, I don't know what they want to do. They just traded for Wendell Carter Jr., but if we could get Wendell Carter Jr. and Jonathan Isaac's coming off a major knee injury, 6'10" wing who can play defense and I think has a lot of potential, but you're trading for potential there. And then Wendell Carter Jr., you just all of a sudden I got my starting center and starting, big wing. So, I know position basketball isn't much anymore, but you would pretty much now Porzingis would be off the team. Kleba would go to the bench, and now you'd have Wendell Carter Jr. and Jonathan Isaac starting there. And, I think that would make you better. I honestly think that would make you better. Bradley Beal, Aiden, I've already said that. It's impossible. It's impossible to get him. Literally, the only way we get him is if we trade Luka. So if you want Bradley Beal, you can, and we would lose the trade tremendously to get Bradley Beal, but that's the only way we get him. We have not near as much. So think about all the teams that would want Bradley Beal. And I mean, if let's say Oklahoma City wants him, because Oklahoma City, you can't have 37 players on your team. You can only have 15. They have 37 picks over the next 7 years. They already have Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. They already have a whole bunch of young guys on their team. So they're going to have to trade at least 20 of those picks or just release guys. They're like, well, we drafted you, but you didn't make the team. And I know it's 18 first and 17 seconds. You can't even – if I eliminate all the second-round picks, you can't have 18 guys in the next 7 years drafted. You don't have enough roster spots. So they're going to have to trade picks. So if they wanted to get Bradley Beal, if he became available, which he won't because Washington had a good second half, they're going to try to run it back. they're probably going to try to trade some of their young guys to maybe help out Russell Westbrook and Bradley Beal to see if they can do something more. Why wouldn't Oklahoma City go, hell, we'll give you 4 first-round picks and 2 second-round picks, and we'll give you a young guy you like on our team, and we'll take Bradley Beal, and we'll start building Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and Bradley Beal and see what we can do. And we have still, after trading 6 picks, we still have 31 more picks over the next 6 to 7 years to work with to trade to try to get this team better. So, Jonathan, I fear Luka will leave Dallas. We have him for 4 more years. He's going to sign the max contract. It's his time. He's going to sign the max contract this offseason. Next year, he'll still be on his rookie deal. Then the max kicks in the next year, which he'd already signed. And he'll probably want an out in that contract. He'll probably say, I'm signing the new contract, but after 3 years, there's an out in the 5-year contract. And so that's when you have to start worrying about that. Mike, my wife is arguing with me. Tell her Rick is one of the top 5 coaches, top 5, if not top 3 coaches in the league. I really believe he is. Now, I just don't think it's coaching. I think it's talent, guys. Dorian Finney-Smith's an undrafted guy, and he's giving all he can, but who's he better than in the end of the game than their guys? And and don't get me wrong, game 1 and game 5, he was a major part of us winning, a major part. Luka's the part. But the next pieces, you can say, hey, Dorian Finney-Smith might have been the second best player game 5, might have been the second best player in game 1. THJ has something to say about that too. But when you just look at it, he would only play 15 to 20 minutes a night on the Clippers. He would, on most teams, on the Utah Jazz, I don't know how many people are watching the Utah Jazz, but he would barely play on the Utah Jazz. Kleba wouldn't play on some teams, but I think he's a 12-minute a guy. For most teams, they'd be like, we'd love Kleba for 12 to 15 minutes. Great guy to bring off the bench to give our guys a rest for about 15 minutes a night. And then when we get to playoff basketball, maybe we'll play him, maybe we won't. They play 30 minutes a night every night they start for us. Josh Richardson, I don't know what the crap. I was wrong. I'm not saying Seth Curry would help us out too much here, but I was wrong. He did not help us out at all. This shouldn't say that. He's made some free throws. He's had moments. I believe he had 9 points in the 4th quarter, so I don't want to get too extreme. But obviously Josh Richardson is not doing what we hoped he would do when we traded for him. Let's see. Will Portland blow things up? They're going to try to rebuild the thing around Damian. It's funny because him and CJ McCollum are best friends, love each other, families love each other. But I think that their best move to try to make things different is to trade CJ McCollum. I'm just saying, like, you can get quite a bit for CJ McCollum. How much would we love CJ McCollum? There's no way they'd want Porzingis. They already have enough hurt big guys always on their team. Zach Collins, for one. But, yeah, I think that Portland's going to try to do different things. It'll be interesting if Terry Stotts is still there. I think he will probably get let go. Brett said Dame just said he wants Kidd as a head coach. I know he's up for oh crap, what's the coaching spot? You guys can help me out over here. Boston. I heard that Kidd is probably going to get an interview with Boston. Let's bring back Terry Stotts and really run it back. I mean, if he gets let go, I think there is a possibility that he comes back as one of the assistant coaches if he wants to do that. Sometimes after coaching for such a long time, he's made great money in his career. He's going to get paid the next 2 years by Portland. If he gets fired, he still has 2 years at like $8 million left. So it's not like he'd have to work. Let's see. We have a bunch of average at best role players, and then Luka, Michael. I know people get mad at me on the fan when I say stuff like that, and I've been too harsh. Those guys are not. Like I said, Kleba can play 12 to 20 minutes. I think Dorian Finney-Smith is proving he's a good 15 to 24-minute guy. Porzingis is a 20-minute guy in the playoffs. Josh Richardson's a 10-minute guy, I think. Dog, I can't believe Josh Richardson. Brunson's a backup point guard for 10 minutes in the playoffs. He's very limited. He's not fast. He's not agile. He's tough. He's smart. I know a lot of people like him around the league. I would love to use him to get something better. That's pretty much our team. Tim Hardaway Jr., great streaky shooter. When he's on fire, it's awesome. We needed him to stay on fire tonight, right? He lost that fire. We needed him to have a career night, and he had a good night, but late in the game, he missed a couple of threes that we needed. The West is just too competitive. Jonathan, great statement. It is very, very competitive. It's a little after midnight here. I've been going 40 minutes. Now I have 30 guys here, 30 girls here. Thanks so much for joining me. Do you guys want to keep going, or should we all try to go to bed? Unfortunately, one of my best buddies who I grew up with since 6, 7 years old, his father passed away this week, so tomorrow's his funeral, and love him to death, and going to be there to support him tomorrow morning. So I got to get some sleep tonight and be there for my brother. Brett says Tolo. Jesse says keep going. Michael says go to bed. JB, keep going. Thank you, Mike. I love you. Good stuff, Mike. Let's see. David, I'll go for a few more minutes. David says Willie Cauley-Stein is terrible. He is what he is. Obviously, he was drafted very high. Golden State said you're not good enough. This is what Rick, when people say Rick's not good, Rick's not. I mean, he has to play Willie Cauley-Stein some big minutes here, and he's just not. He's no offensive threat. He's okay at defending the rim, but he's very limited. I think DeMarcus Cousins is a better player than him, even though DeMarcus Cousins is nowhere close to what he was. But I think if we had DeMarcus Cousins in the series, he would play. He would play for us. Not a lot, but he'd play a little bit. JB, Porzingis struggle has a lot to do with how Rick is using him against very favorable matchups with the Clips playing this small lineup. Yeah, I'm just not. I've lost all hope and faith in KP. He's not going to help us in Game 7. It's going to have to be Luka, and Luka's going to have to figure out the double team. And I don't know what to do with that. You got to keep. To me, he did most of the things. I know people don't like this or maybe don't agree with me, and I understand. But I think he made a lot of right decisions with the double team. And I get he didn't have his best game, but he's on did he play like the greatest player in the history of basketball tonight? He didn't, but he played like a top 10 player in the game. Just Kawhi played like the best player in the game, and he passed out of the double team. They're double teaming him hard, or they had a soft double team, and maybe on television it looked a little bit different, but when they would sometimes switch a little bit on the pick and roll, the other guy was there, and as soon as he would make his move, like head down, a lot of times they would rush him. And so he knew that. And so maybe it's a little bit in his head. Maybe he'll have a better idea in Game 7 on how he wants to attack that. Why did Carlisle not play Boban in the fourth? It was working in the third. Yeah, I mean, maybe I don't know. There's so many minutes Boban can play. Maybe he'll do that. I don't know. I don't feel good about Game 7, guys. I really don't. I think our season ended tonight, but I'm going to be all in. I'm going to be cheering and rooting and hoping and all this stuff, but I think we lose by 10 to 15 points Sunday afternoon. Look at CP3. He wants $100 million. I'd do it. In a heartbeat, I'd do it. But I just don't think Phoenix is going to let him go after they haven't had playoff success since Steve Nash. I don't think they're going to be like, yeah, man, we're not going to give you more money than Dallas is offering. See you later, Chris. I don't think they're going to do that. Why did Carlisle? I got that. All right, guys. LeBron and Chris Bosh took pay cuts to go to Miami. That was like $1 million. I mean, $1 million per year when they were getting like close to 30. So I get it. But like if Luka, okay, he's instead of signing the max, he takes $1 million less than the max. What is that going to do? Not much. I mean, and I think Luka, I don't know this, he probably wouldn't. I mean, it's not fair to him but like if you take $1 million less, we'll also go get Chris Bosh back in his prime. Well, he would probably do that if it's guaranteed, if Jokic said, I'm coming to Dallas, but the only way I'll do it is if I get the max. And to do that, Luka, you have to sign for $1 million less on your contract than you were going to get. He would probably do that. Does Luka sometimes lose track of the clock or shot clock? Maybe, but there's a lot of times where he's given the ball, the play didn't work, and he's standing out at half court, and all the guys are like, hey, I know you gave us open looks. We didn't take them. They closed out. We can't dribble and pass. Here, take it. You got 7 seconds on the clock to make a great play. That's tough. Dragic to Dallas. He doesn't have much left. I don't mind if we get him, but it's like J.J. Redick. He's better than J.J. Redick, but it's like they're done. Dragic has very little left, but we might get him. Stotts and Blazers parted ways during the Mavs game. Oh, I didn't know that, Yvonne. So, okay. Yeah, maybe Stotts will come back. But right now, I don't think our coaching staff is what's holding us back. I do think Josh Green and Tyler Bay are big pieces for us next year. And maybe we trade them to get something. But I think when we see the lack of athleticism at times, when we see how the game's going to so many 6'7" guys that can switch and play, and Josh Green's got to improve, and I think he has that ability. Can he do it in year 2? Tyler Bay spent more time at Colorado. I really like his game. Horrible shooter. Can he improve? Dorian Finney-Smith was a way worse shooter than Tyler Bay. Now, Dorian Finney-Smith got to play on a losing team for 2 to 3 years here that they didn't care if they won because we weren't good enough to win anyways, to develop his game and to get free minutes. I don't know how much you can give Tyler Bay free minutes to try to see if he can play in the NBA over the next year or two. So that makes it tougher on Tyler Bay to develop the way Dorian Finney-Smith did. I do like Josh Green's potential. I could see him getting 15 to 25 minutes next year in our rotation. And we better pray to God that he can play. Or when we trade him, that we get something that really helps us, because we don't have enough. We don't have near enough right now. All right. Derrick Rose. I like him. I'd like Derrick Rose to come off the bench. My opinion, don't want to try to crush people. I do think he's better than Jalen Brunson in quite a bit. And I knew that the Knicks fans do like Jalen Brunson. So such a frustrating game, Mike, from Nathan. Kawhi was incredible. He was. Watching him was like watching Jordan or watching Luka do his magic. Just wish we had more options to help Luka. Yeah. Yep. And he's watching from New Zealand. All right, Frankie. Thanks, brother. Don't know how you do this all day, man. Props to you. Go Mavs. Game 7. James Donaldson made the All-Star team back in 1988. So I hear what you're saying, though, overall. KP is broken mentally. Jesse, he's just broken. Everything. All right, man. Well, guys, thanks so much for joining me. Jesse, I don't think it's just a bad matchup for KP. I just think that I was hoping we win this game, and then against Utah, he would show signs of being like a good player in the NBA. But if we lose a series, he doesn't get that chance, which means he's just a below average player in this league, average at best. So, all righty. Love you guys. Thanks for joining me. I'll talk to you after Game 7 Sunday afternoon.